What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the almost final installment of the Brain Forge Book Club with this book right here, Limitless by Jim Kwik. Upgrade your brain, learn anything faster, and unlock your exceptional life.
Read it.
Read it!
Read it.
Just read it?
Just read it.
We are coming to pretty much a close on this book. We've read all of what we call the meat and potatoes of the book. The next section is just pretty much implementing all this stuff, where he's going to give us a 10-step guide, and we'll get into that into the next video. But first, let's just get everybody's overall thoughts on part 4 and how they felt about it. Noah, you want to start us off with that?
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely wasn't as quick pace as like the first two parts, I'd say. But then, but it did have a lot of really concrete like methods on how to implement for. I mean, it was for focus, for memory, for speed reading, thinking. Um, and what really stuck with me was the focus and thinking part, but especially the thinking is like it really hammers into your head that there's more than one way to be intelligent, and that like everybody's uniquely intelligent in their own right, and especially like he hammers out what was it? It was it was I think four or five different different crap, sorry. Um
Approximately 10 hours later.
yeah, but yeah, they have there's six different ways to that you like how he describes to be smart. There's spatial, where it's like you're really like well aware of your surroundings. Then there's like body kinesthetic, so you're like more athletic, or you're able to keep your body moving in the right ways too. Musical, they're pretty obvious there. Linguistic, so good with words. There's logical, mathematical, interpersonal, which is like you're able to create relationships very well and pretty easily and maintain them. Then there's interpersonal, which is being able to understand yourself. And then finally naturalistic, so like being able to understand the whole world around you and everything. And all of those, I mean, there's I guess there's eight different ways, but it just demonstrates how unique each one of us can be, and you can be a mix of a few of
Yeah.
those, but that's what really stood out to me through this.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what we talked about in, I think it was part 2, with the different types of genius as well. It's kind of similar thing.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Eric?
So my overall thought for part 4 was it wasn't my favorite. And that's just me being honest. It did really break down processes and how you can use these type of training methods and things he included in this book to really help you with memory, focus, speed reading, thinking. And I loved it. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was definitely more knowledgeable, but at the same time, I felt that it lacked stories. Like, I wish he implemented a little more stories in it to kind of give the reader more of that little feeling to it, feeling based to it. But overall, I thought it was a good chapter. It wasn't my favorite. Part 1 and 2 were my favorite, I think. But again, it just really broke things down to a whole.
So for me, where I'm going to differ from you two guys, this was my favorite part of the whole book for sure. I think this is where everything that he talked about, the different methods and leading up to this part of the book, he really dove into all that and kind of laid it all out on the table for us and was like, look, these are the things you need to be doing, and it's not something that's going to come overnight. This is a lifelong thing. This is what you need to be implementing to just continue to better yourself and just basically become a lifelong student of life. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think
Just training in general.
yeah, you guys
Yeah.
both mentioned you want to go back and reread it. I do as well. I think the second time around your opinion might change a little bit, but
Maybe, yeah.
Yes, but yeah. It just didn't really quite stick with me, and I feel like if I go back over, especially to try to really soak it in, then that can actually like I mean, it'll help me with at least the next 10-step part too. I mean, in any books that we keep on reading. But so I have a question for you guys.
yeah.
So are there any techniques or information that you found in part 4 that you think that you'll incorporate into your life?
Yes. On page 188, it talks about doing something that stresses you, right? Doing something that causes you stress. And the way I comprehended that passage was a lot of people are distracted from things that they know they have to do, but push it to the side, but it's still in the back of their mind. And the way I heard it and the way I read it was you can be doing something, but you know you have to be folding your laundry. You know you have to go work out. That's causing this stress inside of you because you're pushing it to the side and you know you need to do it. Just go do it. Just go fold your clothes. Just go work out. Get that workout in. And then you'll find yourself more relieved and more focused and more concentrated on the things you're doing. For me, that's what I have. What about you, Cody?
Definitely. And your ending note there about concentration was one of the first things I wanted to say that I've implemented. He talks about how concentration takes effort, right? And I completely agree with that. So one of the things that I try to do just in these meetings, for example, when we're talking, is when you guys are speaking, I really want to be locked in on what you're saying, and that does take to a certain extent some effort to do. You can't just sit here and listen to the noise coming from someone's mouth and think you're going to comprehend. But I want to be able to hear what you're saying, understand it. So that does take a certain degree of effort to actually concentrate. And I've been implementing that, especially in reading the book now, where I think we're all guilty of sometimes reading a book and then thinking about something else, and then you're like, man, I have no idea what I just read. So I try to, he talks about this as well, just when I find myself getting sidetracked, just make a conscious effort to really dial back in and concentrate what I'm doing. That, and also taking notes. I've been taking notes a lot more, especially with the book. We all bring notepad to these little meetings here just to kind of keep everything flowing and keep all these thoughts fresh in our minds.
A little more organized.
And yeah, I think that's for me what I've been implementing. I guess kind of move off of that a little bit. Was there anything that you guys didn't really understand, or that you don't think you can incorporate into your life from this section?
For me, it's gonna definitely be the hats, like he was talking about. There's these different kinds of hats that you can. I know Eric's thinking of it too. Is like there's just the different kind of hats for, like, there's like different thinking hats, or like just different hats that you want to have to focus. And I just can't really see how I can relate to that. Like being able to like actively think to kind of transfer my mind into a different kind of gear. And I like to try to get it. I mean, the first few times, especially like what you were talking about with speed reading earlier, is of like to try to, if you have a voice in your head, to try to get rid of it. But and there's definitely some things you have to practice at first. But I want it to try to be as subconscious as I can, that I can like absorb it and just day to day be able to confidently say that I can apply these without having to really think about them much.
Yeah, just for a little context, guys, for what he's talking about is there was a guy that he calls it the 6 thinking hats. The white hat is a mode you're supposed to go into when you're gathering information. The yellow hat is for when you're being optimistic. The black hat is for weighing the negative sides or the negative outcomes of things. The red hat is when you get your emotion involved in your decision making. The green hat is when you're being creative. And then the blue hat is kind of the management hat of all of these hats, to know which mode you should be in. And I kind of definitely agree with what you're saying. I think that could be useful for some people to implement that kind of find themselves a little scatterbrained. Some people may not struggle with that. I don't feel that I struggle with that, so I think I will implement that, but not in that way.
Agreed. I agree with both of you guys. I think we all have the same understanding with that. I mean, I just feel like it was a nice gesture, right? It was something that was very descriptive and something that someone can use, like Cody was saying, but it just wasn't for me. It didn't really connect with me. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, as far as things I didn't understand, I think I could probably incorporate most of this stuff, but as far as things I didn't understand, I don't know if there was anything that directly stood out to me. Like I said, I do want to go back and reread this part again, just to kind of see what else we might be missing or something like that. But after that, I would say, and we're closing in on the book, what is your guys' biggest takeaway from this book overall?
I got 3 words. Make yourself bigger. Is that like you're trying to just it doesn't have to be physically. I mean, it could be you could try to put your energy towards making yourself physically bigger, like go to the gym,
Yeah.
make sure you get on a good diet. But then like our dear friend Cody has been on recently. But it's also about making yourself like releasing all your limitations and especially silencing that inner critic in your head. And that's really what's like stood out to me is that like you're capable of anything that you want to put your mind to, and you just have to believe it. And that's like really what's stopping you from being like you could be whatever you want to be. You could be a scholar, a lifetime scholar, and be able to do like study engineering. You could study philosophy. You could want to just start your own business too, but you're capable of it. You just gotta think that you're capable of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My takeaway from this book is just brain development, knowledge, and being a superhero, being limitless. Brain development, the way he just describes how to use your brain, like Noah was saying, releasing that inner critic in your head, because that's your biggest critic. The negative thoughts in your head, just wipe them away. Think more positive. When it comes to knowledge, he has so much in this book that you can use. For example, if I was to put this book away for a month or two and I have this thought in my mind, I know I have a book that I can go to right after and take it out and be like, okay, it's in this book. I know it's in this book for sure. And just being limitless, being that superhero, really being limitless, think outside the box. Or what was that quote she said? It's not about thinking outside the box.
Different box.
Thinking a whole different box. Just use your brain. Anything is possible if you really go after it. And one more thing, this is a book really shows how much you have to involve yourself, really step out of your comfort zone, involve yourself, imply yourself at all times. That's all I have.
That's really, really nice. I like that. I think my biggest takeaway is a combination of what both of you guys said. Noah talks about making yourself bigger, and Eric talks about brain development. And my thing is, your brain is a muscle just like everything else. That's my biggest takeaway, and you have to exercise and work that brain.
Work it
in order to, reach your peak with that and get to where you want to be. Some things that I can talk about that relate to that came from this part. He talks about associative memory, which I thought was really cool. I think I can. There was 10 words that were in the chapter, and he asked us to memorize those 10 words, and he came up with a story to help us memorize those 10 words. And those 10 words, I believe, were fire hydrant, balloon, batteries, barrel, board, diamond, night, ox, toothpaste, and sign. I believe those were the 10 words. And
Okay.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Okay.
that should be
On the money.
correct.
On the
in
money.
that
No,
order.
yeah, you're right.
And the reason I'm able to remember that is because he talks about a story of how to memorize those. He says, imagine a big fire hydrant. Now imagine you're tying balloons to that fire hydrant. You tie so many balloons to the fire hydrant that it lifts it up into the air. Now all the balloons are being popped by these batteries flying through the air. The batteries are being launched into the air in a barrel, catapulted off of a board. And what's catapulting the board is a giant diamond being dropped onto it. Now, a knight swoops in and steals the diamond. as he's trying to get away, an ox steps in front of him. The only way to get the ox to move is to brush his teeth. And once the ox moves, behind him is a big neon sign. So that was the way I was able to remember
That was actually crazy. You remember that, bro?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. That was pretty good.
Story.
That was pretty good.
Listen, that's the power of being limitless, you know? That's
Yeah.
the power. I'm not there yet, but we're getting there, you know? And another thing I thought was really cool, like I talked about earlier, was just concentration taking effort. He has an acronym for remembering people's names, and it's Be Suave. So first thing you have to do is believe that you can remember these names. Exercise it, okay? And what he's referring to exercise is suave. So first thing you want to do is say it. When someone gives you their name, you want to say it back to them. Not only does that give you the opportunity to hear it twice, but it helps ingrain that in your memory. Then you want to use it. You want to use it throughout the conversation, the first couple times that you're talking to people. The A is, let's see, what was the A for? Might be drawing a blank on the A. I believe it was for ask. The A is for ask. You ask them where they got their name from. I mean, if you have a, you know, simple name like Cody, you're probably not going to be asking, oh, how did you get your name? But if they have a more interesting name, you know, you can ask them about it. Which those are the names that are normally hard to remember. Then visualization, you know, you can maybe help visualize that name with someone else. Like, for example, he says if their name is Mary, you could visualize that person at a wedding. And then the last E, Be Suave, was, let's see, what was the last E? And end it in the conversation by saying their name again. It was nice to meet you, Eric. It was nice to meet you, Noah. And that's a tool to help you remember the names.
All right, bro.
Nice.
All right, fellas. And I
You got the memory.
This, that's what I was gonna say, but this is the whole beauty of this group and the whole book. You know, we have a great group of three men that are not only talking about a book, but you know, you see what powers Cody has right now, right? He's literally a Superman when it comes to his mind. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. Like he's used his strongest power in his brain. It's crazy. Anyways,
Now I see why I lose in anagrams all the time.
last question to end it all, fellas. Would you recommend this book to anyone, and why? Cody, you want to start off?
Oh, I've been recommending this already to people. I'm
Yeah.
I'm like, as soon as I finish this book, you can read this as much as you want. I recommend it. I would say there's definitely, like we were talking about, with having the some more examples, I think, towards the end here. Just some more of the, like, that Zen story, like with the technician in the first part, where he had just to turn the one screw and he itemized it all. That his knowledge was worth $9,999. That all, if they had more lessons like that, then that would make this, I think, for me, a perfect 10. But I'd have to give it, I'm gonna give it a 9 because it was very, very helpful and informative.
Nice. I would say absolutely. I would recommend this book to someone. I'm with Noah. I've already been telling people, man, you should check this book out. It's definitely got a lot of useful information in it for anybody. It doesn't matter what you consider your intelligence to be or where you're at in your life. I think anybody could benefit from this book. Last little bonus thing I want to throw in, something that I wanted to cover from this chapter before we jump to Eric. He mentioned something called the 40-70 rule, which I thought was really cool. The 40-70 rule applies to making decisions. He says when making this decision, you should gather at least 40% of the information you need to make that decision, because anything other than that, you're just guessing. And he says you should acquire no more than 70% of the information you need to make that decision, because at that point, once you've acquired 70%, you should be able to make, you know, an educated enough decision. And if not, it's almost like you're just stalling making the decision.
Love that. Absolutely. If I would have to recommend this book to anybody, like you guys said, I've already been talking about it. I've read it in public. People have already asked me what that book is about, which I love. But I would definitely recommend this book to anybody that would like to read it. I'll offer you my book. So if you send me your PO box or anything mail wise, DM me on Instagram. I'll send you my personal book. I might have to sign up for you guys. But the reason why I recommend this book, like I said earlier, it has so many tools that you can use to really develop your mind and, just use your head. And it's like a play-by-play book. It's so much good things in this book that you can use. And if I'm rating this book, I'm giving this book an 8.5 out of 10. I love it. Yeah, man. Good job, Mr. Jim Kwik. I appreciate your brain knowledge. You're a great coach.
I give it a 9 out of 10. I didn't say that, but 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. It's really, really hones in on the fundamentals. You know what I'm saying? I love this. I love this book. This book's good.
Yeah, it was super good. Does anyone have any last things they want to add, or everyone?
I think I got all I had to say out.
Everyone.
I wanted to add something about your story with the diamond and the knight and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part in the book in that section where he says that when you dream, you're not dreaming in words, you're dreaming in visualizations. So you're seeing all the components and everything. So that's a great way to think about when you're describing things or you want to remember something is, really describe it in a way that you can remember, like Cody, how he broke those words down to a story.
Yeah, for sure. I think that a good way to put what you just said kind of in layman's terms was when you imagine a blue car, you picture a blue car in your mind, you don't think of the words blue car. So that's basically what he was saying, if anyone didn't get that. But the last thing I have to say is just a challenge for everybody that's watching, a challenge for you two as well. Make a not to-do list. He talks about this in the chapter. Most people do a to-do list, which is things they need to do, but guess what? That list never ends up getting done anyway. So go ahead and make a not to-do list, guys, of things that you're currently working on, bad habits, things that you don't want to do. Write that down. You write that down, you're guaranteed like at least 90% more to not do it, because when you start thinking about doing it, you're like, oh, wait a minute. You're gonna feel a little guilty for writing it down and still doing that. So that's my challenge. That's what we got. Anyways, guys, go check this book out, Limitless by Jim Kwik. We have one more part coming out. It's gonna be part 4.5, where we're gonna be covering the last section of this book. It's Jim Kwik's 10-step guide to becoming limitless. And I think we're all gonna maybe go a couple days implementing that 10-step guide and then come back and kind of give you guys some testimonials.
And I feel like if you have any book you recommend, drop it in the comment section down below. Let us know what you like so we can really hone in to what you guys like at home.
Absolutely. If you guys have any questions, any comments on things that we said, let us know. We would absolutely love to hear from you. That is the Brain Forge boys out.
Peace. Have a good one.
Nobody believes in you. You lost again and again and again. The lights are cut off, but you're still looking at your dream, reviewing it every day and saying to yourself, it's not over until I